Right, Shane Duffy is now officially a Celtic player. He's joined on a season-long loan from Brighton, probably the worst kept secret all summer in terms of transfers. We knew it was going to happen at some stage, but it's officially been confirmed now. A massive, massive signing. Personally, I'm absolutely delighted with this one. I think he's exactly what we need at the back. I think he'll complement the other defenders we have at the team, and he's got that bit of ruthlessness, that kind of horrible aspect of being a horrible footballer that I think this Celtic team badly needs at the moment. I think we've become a little bit too nice lately, as has been shown in some of our European failures, and I think that Shane Duffy will add a bit of nastiness to Neil Lennon's team. But for the Celtic gaffer, probably the most important aspect, and for a lot of Celtic fans, is that he now has the personnel to be able to play the much fabled 3-5-2 formation. So in this video, we're going to take a look at how that could look. Right, so starting in nets, obviously Vasilis Barkas, a lot made after the Ferencvaros defeat of whether he was questionable for both goals, particularly the second. People rushing to massive judgments on him being a complete waste of money at £5 million. I think he'll be a good goalkeeper for us. The club have scouted him clearly over the last couple of years quite extensively. He has the right ability to play for the club. He has all the different things that we look for, the attributes in terms of he's, I think, 26, 27, something like that. He's in the peak years of his career. He's won trophies at AEK Athens, of course. He's played in the Champions League. He's an international. So I think he's a good goalkeeper to have. Will he be as good as Forster? Who knows? But I think it's a good place to start. Into the back three, now obviously Shane Duffy slides in there. I think if we are going to play a back three, Duffy will be the central of the three, just because he's probably the slowest of the defenders we have at the club, and he's probably the biggest and strongest as well. So he'll fit in well to the centre of a back three. I think alongside him, all being well, if we keep everyone at the club, you could have Christopher Jullien on his right and Christopher Ajer on his left. Now, I know a lot's been made of Jullien and Ajer in recent weeks. I think they're still good players. I really like Christopher Jullien. I think he just has the odd bad game. But you could argue that those bad games when he comes up against a physical striker, usually on a plastic pitch, you could argue that Shane Duffy could now help him in that and almost take that onus off Jullien to deal with a big man. So for me, that's a pretty good back three of Jullien, Duffy and Ajer. Question marks over whether we need to have some more reinforcements behind. You could argue that Duffy's only replacing Simunovic, and if Ajer goes, we need to bring in another centre back. But I would also say that I think Nir Biton's good enough for domestic games, and I also think that Hatem El Hamid could play in the right of a back three. And in many ways, he may actually be better than someone like Ajer or Jullien, because he's got that pace to cover. Now, Jullien and Duffy aren't the quickest on the turn, so we may need someone like El Hamid as the season goes on in a back three, especially if we're playing playing with wing backs, where El Hamid isn't really much of a wing back as much as, say, Frimpong would be. On that topic, Frimpong, right wing back, left wing back, Greg Taylor. A lot's been made about Greg Taylor not being good enough. I like Greg Taylor to an extent, but he's probably a player more for the future. I don't think he's possibly good enough to be a left back in Europe at the moment, especially left wing back. He's probably not suited to being a left wing back where there's so much onus on your attacking ability. So ideally, I think we'd look to bring in a left wing back, but I think Frimpong on the right is just the perfect solution. I just think wing-back's a perfect role for Frimpong, given how much he likes to get forward, how he's got the pace, but he can also get back in and help. So yeah, we'll go Frimpong, Taylor. You've then got your two sitting midfielders. Now I'll say McGregor straight away. Scott Brown as well. A lot of comments about Scott Brown finally being over the hill, given the way he started this season. I think Scott Brown will still come good this season. I refuse to admit, given how many times he's proved people wrong, that he's finished and this is the end of his days and he's past it. I think he will come good. However, I do think that we should look at other options that can play in that role, namely Olivier Ntcham if he stays at the club, and also new signing David Turnbull. I think that's two players who can really offer us something fresh in that role. There's no need for Scott Brown to be playing every single match at this stage of his career. There's absolutely no need. It's not good in him, it's not good in Celtic. And I just think for home games in the league especially, and even some away games, that we could do with getting Scott Brown out and getting a more creative spark into the team. The likes of an Olivier Ncham or a David Turnbull, I think, would suffice. In front of them, we've got a choice, maybe Ryan Christie, the obvious one, and Cham can also play as a number 10, and so can David Turnbull. I'm kind of interested to see where Neil Lennon fits Turnbull into things, because he's played mainly on the right of a midfield 3 with Motherwell, so it's kind of hard to look at whether he was seen as a centre mid there or an attacking midfielder. And I know he scored a lot of goals at Motherwell, but I kind of feel he might be better coming from slightly deeper, almost like Callum McGregor does for us. But time will tell what Lennon wants to do with that. But we'll go for Ryan Christie in the number 10 role for now. And then in front of Christie, we've got a strike partnership that we all want to see at the club. The main man, Odsonne Edouard, and Albion Ajeti. Ajeti doesn't look fit yet. He looks way off it, if we're honest. But the massive compliment you can pay to the Swiss striker is that he looks way off it, and he still scored 2 goals. And I don't know if he's even played half an hour for the club, 40 minutes, and he's already got 2 goals. His record is looking very good. He looks like a real clinical striker. I couldn't help but think of Gary Hooper when he was going in and goal against Motherwell. It was a typically Hooper finish that you would have seen 10 years ago or so for the club. So the prospect of having Ajeti and Edouard up front together is a massively exciting one. I think they would complement each other so well. You've got the creative spark, the guile of Edouard, but also the finishing of Edouard, and then you've got your poacher in many ways in Ajeti. So yeah, I think we've had a lot of negativity, rightly so, on this channel, to be fair. I lambasted Lennon and the team after the Ferencváros defeat, and I don't think a lot of those troubles have gone away at all. I think we've still got a manager who will struggle in Europe. However, as time has gone on over the last week, and obviously signings like Turnbull and Duffy help, but I've kind of come to the conclusion that this Celtic team isn't going to fold in the league under Neil Lennon. He's proven enough over the last few years, and especially last season, that this team can get over setbacks. You think back to Cluj when things looked terrible and we went in a massive winning run after that. You think back to the Rangers game at New Year, the same happened, and even Copenhagen as well didn't massively throw us off, as much as I was really disappointed at the time. So I've got big faith in this squad and Neil Lennon that they're going to get it right and they're going to win the league this year. But if you're looking at it in a European context, I think we need fresh ideas and a new manager in for that. But it all comes down to what you want for the club. Right now, would it be the right thing to do to move Neil Lennon on? Not for me. I think we've got a squad there and a manager who knows what they can do domestically, and hopefully they can do that now. But hopefully I've filled you with a little bit of excitement running through the potential Celtic team for the new season. We've obviously got an international break now, so hopefully when we come back from that, we use it as a fresh start and Lennon can get his new ideas across, and hopefully we see that 3-5-2 formation. He can kind of do what he wants with the midfield in the main, I think, but the main thing for me is get your back 3 in place, Duffy, Ajer, Julian, and get your front 2 in place, Ajeti and Edouard. I think if we can get those 5 into the team, we'll be really strong and we'll be looking good for 10 in a row. So yeah, as we usually say, if you've not yet subscribed to the channel, I and the rest of the guys would massively appreciate you doing that. Much more to come throughout the week. An interesting video coming later in the week, and a player we missed out on last season that's doing pretty well now, and of course much more to come from Jackie McNamara as well. Until next time, take care and hail hail.